Hello and welcome to the Keep It or Change Cars podcast. My name is Gugu Masuku and I'm your host. And as always, we've got a lovely guest in studio. The person in question I've met a few times and he's taken me off-roading, like proper off-roading. And he owns the 4x4 trail and training facility, which is in the Lion and Safari Park. Terence Tracey. Oh, you well, Mr. Tracey?
I'm exceptionally well and getting better every second.
Getting better every second. I love it when you say I love it when you say that. We're also joined by the owner of CHANGECARS, Michael Pursuit. Mike, how's it?
You can't beat that intro.
You can't
I'm
beat
getting better every second. I'm just enthused by his enthusiasm. So awesome.
Always.
And great to be here with you too.
You call him on the phone. Hey, Terence, how's it going? Say it again.
I'm perfect, but I'm getting better.
That's it. Always. So, Terence, I mean, you do some really fun stuff on weekends, and I've been there to see it. But for anyone who doesn't know you, who is Terence Tracey, and what's your journey been like to get to where you are now with what you're doing?
Well, I'm from a little family back in Ireland. My mom and dad loved each other a lot. They had quite a lot of kids. And my sister's a nun, a Catholic nun, and she came to South Africa in the 70s. Mm-hmm. And my youngest brother came to visit her, and he got married to a South African girl. I then came to his wedding, met a South African girl, decided to come back to work a couple of years later, and loved living in Africa ever since. I've been in Africa since 1981. So
longer than I've been alive.
Yes, and you're an African by birth, maybe,
yeah.
Mike, an African by birth. I'm an African by choice. So basically, I was trained in the hospitality industry, lived in France for a number of years, and then in South Africa, I was with Southern Sons and Sun International for many years in the catering. Then I bought my own restaurants, and that went well for a couple of years. And then COVID made it a bit difficult to make money. Mm-hmm. But all the time, I was involved in car racing and teaching people how to drive better on the racetrack, and defensive driving on the road. When you want to learn how to drive better on the South African roads, come and speak to me, and I'll teach you how to drive basically for the other guys on the road as well.
If you go karting with Terence, he will teach you how to drive better. He's aggressive. He's fast. He taught me how to drive better. But Terence, you said you were in France.
Yes.
You definitely did not pick up the accent.
Je parle français couramment. Je parle toujours français.
Say no more.
Possibly you did.
I lived there for 4 years, and I was very fortunate to have learned French at a very high level. The first couple of years were difficult, and then, so still, 40 years later, I can still speak it very well. And because of that, I was fortunate to have been chosen by Jaguar Land Rover to work in the West African countries, where we went to do driver training in Senegal, Ivory Coast. We actually finished, where the Dakar used to finish, we spent a weekend driving on the sand dunes there, teaching the customers who bought the Land Rovers how to drive them on the sand dunes. Really special.
But Terence is very modest, and I think he hasn't shared with us, so I'm going to share with you.
Go for it.
His true claim to fame. And our audience is going to be the recipient of his true claim to fame. 12 years ago, Terence? 10 years ago, 2013, the trip from Johannesburg to Coventry in England. Now, not by aeroplane, in a Jolon Imp. Well, you called it you called it the Joburg to London. That's why you christened it Jolon. But a Hillman Imp, a car that is smaller than this table, has got about as much power as the people around this table. Tell us about that journey briefly, and then share with our audience what you want us to do for you.
Well, basically, it was to celebrate the car's 50th birthday. I'm a member of the IMP Club, and I've been for many years. It was my family's first car when I was a kid. I was 15 years old before we could afford to buy a car, obviously. Big family, you know. So basically, we bought, one of my brothers bought a Hillman Imp, and then being that I raced in South Africa with a Ford Capri first, I decided to build a new car for the racetrack, and I built a Hillman Imp, and then subsequently bought a couple of more Hillman Imps. And for this 50th birthday, I contacted the chairman of the Imp Club in England, and I said, Graham, Terence, I'm going to be joining you for the celebration in 2.5 years' time for the 50th birthday, and I'm going to drive one of my Hillman Imps to Coventry. He says, yes.
From South Africa.
He said, no, that's a great plan. A lot of guys will be driving to Coventry. He said, which town are you coming from? So I said, I'm coming from Randburg. He said, Where's Randburg? I said, just north of Johannesburg. He said, no, you're mad. You won't make it.
Yeah. And you did it anyway.
Of course we did make it.
He's
yes.
thinking you're coming from Kent, from Leicester, somewhere in England. I mean, anywhere else in England would have also been far in that car.
Yeah.
Top speed of that car on a downhill, 55 k's an hour?
No, it was actually 90, just about 95. Yeah.
He's exaggerating.
The horsepower of that car was 39 horsepower.
What is that in kilowatts for those
25?
of us who live in SA?
It's very little. It's
Really?
very little. Yeah.
25,
Yeah.
27
That's nothing.
kilos.
That's
Look,
nothing.
it's got enough power to mow your lawn twice.
It can't pull the skin off a rice pudding, I can tell you that.
Yeah.
Anyway, listen, we're not going to talk about that car all night long because
Okay.
I can.
Okay.
What I have done is, the story was such a fantastic story, it would have been wrong for me not to write a book about it. So I've
Yeah.
written a book about it, and Michael and Google, I'm prepared to let one of our listeners actually get a copy of that book. I brought a copy into the studio with me tonight, and gladly I would like to offer that to
give away a book.
To give away a book, yes. Yeah,
Thank you, Terence. So the book is called No Way Back. I personally have read it. There's some magnificent photos. It's easy reading.
Yeah.
And one of our lucky audience, write into podcast@changecars.co.za. And if we choose you, we'll courier you the copy of this magnificent book signed by Terence Tracey. And we'll go one step further. Gugu and myself will sign it also.
We'll sign it
Just
as
so
well.
we can feel good.
We'll sign it at the
Can
back.
I ask you, Michael, why was the book called No Way Back? Very important to tell them that.
Because if I recall, you had no reverse gear in the car. You go
Yes, exactly.
10,000
Oh,
Ks
wow.
or 13,000 Ks without a reverse gear.
That is
And
great.
it was a super positive idea, because when we got into trouble, I said to Jeff, listen, remember, we haven't got reverse. There's no going back.
Wow.
So we use it as a positive affirmation
Yeah,
to
yeah.
actually say, listen, we haven't got reverse. We have to fix whatever problem, or whoever's giving us drama at the border, we're going to get through
We're
this.
going to get through.
Hats off to you and Jeff times 2.
That is insane. It's an intriguing story, and I'd love to read the book as well. I'll get myself a copy.
Cool.
Podcast@changecars.co.za. Right in.
Yeah. Need advice? Visit changecars.co.za and click on the Keep It or Change Cars tab. Now, Terence, you're here because you know quite a bit about cars, and we would like to get your inputs and help our listeners out there. We've got a question from Willie Potgieter from, I'm going to try to pronounce this correctly, Odendalrus in the Free State. Did I get it right?
You got Odendal's Rust right. The second part.
Odendal's
Not the
Rust.
Free Odendal's Rust in the Free State.
Yeah.
Indeed.
So he's from there, and he wants to understand why there's such a big obsession with Toyota and Ford in South Africa when it comes to bakkies. Now, you do quite a bit of 4x4, and you see a lot of these cars and a lot of these guys. Why do you think there's such a big obsession with these two brands in double cab bakkies?
Well, the Toyota, from a point of view of reliability, is second to none.
Agreed.
I have been through Africa from top to toe, as you know, and really, if you want to know what's the most popular vehicle in that continent, it's got to be Toyota.
Okay.
So basically, it's reliability of the Toyota and the fact that they are exceptionally good off-road.
But parts as well, I would imagine. If you're anywhere in Africa, you will be able to get parts for a Toyota, right?
Yes, you will. And that's obviously a big challenge for the other manufacturers. Now, you also mentioned another car called Ford, and that's also been gaining popularity. And this year, I think it's just outstripped the Toyotas for the first time in many years, if I'm not mistaken.
Car of the year?
Yeah,
The Ranger?
and then, but obviously, they remember that there's a lot of copying of good ideas from one manufacturer to another, and clearly, all these modern cars, in my opinion, these days have got very good capabilities, and they copy from each other. So, you know, whether it's got a blue oval badge on the front, or whether it's got a Nissan badge, or whether it's got a Toyota badge, a lot of it is to do with personal, what would you call it, personal preferences. Yes, yeah. However, the modern cars are just good
Super
cars
capable
to use, and they all have issues, and they also have problems. But yeah, so does everything in life.
Mike, your thoughts?
So I second everything you said about the Toyota. The Toyota reliability, the Toyota parts backup, service backup, wide range speaks for itself. You cannot fault a Toyota. I get that. When it comes to Ford, I must be honest, I do not get it. I get Willie's question, why is the obsession with Ford? If you took Nissan, if you took Mitsubishi, Isuzu, Mazda, my personal opinion, and I don't think I'm wrong, is an immeasurably better product. Ford are doing incredible marketing at the moment.
That's right, yeah.
They just do Brilliant marketing, built Ford tough. If you say something often enough, you'll believe it.
Yeah.
It's not built Ford tough, it's built Ford style.
Yeah.
I don't believe that Ford is an excellent product. I don't think it's a bad product.
Yeah.
I just don't get the fascination. And hence why Billy's asking. I mean, Toyota, in your opinion, faultless?
Faultless. Absolutely.
Ford, faultless?
Not quite.
So, Terence, when it comes to Toyota, not I or anybody with any modicum of knowledge of the motor trade will not agree with you. Toyota, whatever it is, parts availability, service backup, quality of product, absolutely exemplary. What I don't get, and I'm very honest with people, is the Ford mania. It's almost like Ford have marketed that Ford tough very, very well, and now Ford is perceived as the equal to Toyota. You indicated that the sales figures bear that out. Ford is now outselling. Did they deserve to win the car of the year? No question. I think it's an excellent, excellent looking car, comfort, etc. But I don't get the mania.
Has it stood the test of time? Not yet. It's new. So we'll see in
Time
time.
will tell, right?
Yeah.
Time will tell.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about 4x4ing. You've obviously built like an insanely magnificent 4x4 obstacle course out in the Lion and Safari Park, which I've been to twice. Recently on a motorbike.
Wow.
Which is, you were there.
Yes.
It's crazy.
You don't want to get stuck there. In the Lion and Safari Park, you don't want to get stuck.
So just to digress, while I was there, I'm on the bike. I'm the only guy on a bike. And the guys in the Lion camp are like, come through here. I'm like, and I'm not stupid. I'm not coming in there. So Terence, tell us, how do you grade obstacles in a 4x4 course like yours? How do you grade them? Because I know there's like grade 1 or level 1, level 2.
Yeah, look, basically it's a rough indicator as to the difficulty level of the obstacle.
What is the starting point? Is grade 1 the easiest?
Grade 1 would be a gravel road. For example, the roads that take people through the Lion and Safari Park, where they can do a self-drive to watch the animals.
Like a front-wheel drive Audi R8 can go on that.
It could, yes, it could. But
you wouldn't.
yes, you can if you want to. You can even take a Ferrari. I mean, I have recently had a Ferrari out at Tarleton from Johannesburg for a video shoot, and it was the scariest thing in the world to get that Ferrari all the way out without getting caught in a pothole or a bump. It wasn't my car, so yeah. Getting back to the trail, so you need to let people know before they get onto an obstacle more or less the difficulty level, especially for the novices. Because if you are a novice, you would need maybe a little bit of help. If you're an experienced 4x4 guy, you will know that's quite serious.
So is that why you always see that little arrow that will say 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5?
Yeah.
And if it's a 5, it will normally have like a funny thing next to it. Don't be mad.
Oh,
Guts in, that type of thing.
Yeah. Basically, category 5 is pretty much top level of difficulty.
Oh, yeah.
So level 1, you would say, is a gravel road where you could take a normal sedan car.
Yeah.
Level 2 is where, or level 2 or category 2, you could call it, is where the road is then a bit rougher, and you would really need to have a 4x4, an all-wheel drive, for example, a Land Rover Freelander, or a 4-wheel drive car that has got a little bit of clearance, and it has also got a single-speed box, not low range as well. You don't need low range for level 2. Okay, or category 2. Category 3, we're starting to get interesting now, because there you would, going back to 1 and 2, any driver with normal driving skills can get through. Level
Like Gugu,
3,
for example, could easily go 1 and 2.
yeah, he's done it a few times. In actual fact,
he has done it a few times.
fact, I've seen him on the Twister.
Yeah.
Obstacle number 3 at the Lions Safari Park. So basically, level 3, you would need a driver with a certain amount of off-road skill.
Okay.
You would also need to have a car with good clearance, reasonable clearance, fairly good off-road tires, and you would need to have low range. Very important. Okay? So then that's for level 3. Level 4, you would need to have, again, your car with low range. You would need to have good clearance, very good off-road tires, and you need to have a guy or a lady that has got good
Directional
driver
skills.
skill.
Oh, driver skills.
Good driver skill, yeah.
How important is the person who's directing you turn left? Do you need that when
Yes,
you're off-roading?
you do need that in certain cases. Depends on the driver skill of the person in the car.
You wouldn't want to be going through a divorce and on your last trip with your soon-to-be ex-wife and they don't guide you. Let's just say that.
Not a good idea.
You could get her to drive.
Yeah.
You've got a secret
You
weapon
get
here.
it to drive, wouldn't you?
So then now we haven't talked about level 5
Yes.
yet. So level 5 is where you basically have an obstacle that you are likely to get stuck. You will possibly, almost probably need to be recovered. In other words,
You will hurt your car.
and you will risk damaging your car.
And there are particular testicular requirements for that?
You have to have a car that's well...
No, testicular requirements, I said.
Yeah.
You need big ones.
Kahunas, big kahunas, yeah. So basically, you need to have a car that is well kitted out for it, probably with a belly plate and a raised nose. For example, these bull bars that have got
Those steel bars.
So in other words, we get rid of the mascara of the car. We call it mascara. You know that
Take out the bottom jaw.
when you basically the bottom jaw,
Yeah.
like the plastic bumpers, fly them. Put a bull bar on, so it's which is raised a little bit, so you get more clearance when you're approaching it.
So now, Terence, for the audience, we've gone through the grades 1 through 5. Is that up to the proprietor to decide what it is, or is there a grading council? Are there accepted norms?
There might be a grading council, and they haven't contacted me to say I'm doing the wrong thing yet. So I think, basically it's a guideline. Like I said,
up to the proprietor to say, I view this as a level 3.
Yeah.
If you view it differently and you get stuck, let me know.
Like, for example, 2 weeks ago, I had a very nice big crowd of experienced off-roaders mostly. 1 or 2 of them were novices. And one of the guys was saying, no, this is not a level 4. This is not a level 4. This is a level 3. So, you get people that think, this is easier for me.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Even my category 5 is also, for some guys, they will say, it's difficult, but doable.
Right.
And so again, it's a moot point, you could say.
Fair enough.
Want SA's leading insurance? Visit changecars.co.za and click on the Discovery logo. Okay, so you speak about level 5 being so difficult that it's likely going to require recovery. And I think that fits very well into our next question here. So we've got a question from a guy named Willem. He's 49 from Pretoria North. And he says he's an avid social off-roader. And he's seen 2 4x4 episodes on All Things Motoring, the show that we do. One was obviously at your place and at the Lion and Safari Park. And the other was at Die Welt, right? So his question is recovery orientated. How important is it to have all the recovery gear that all the real manne, as he says, have when they go off-roading?
It depends on how serious you are about tackling obstacles. Again, if you go into a category 5, expect to be recovered. So there you will need to have, and when you go with these clubs, the guy leading the club will say, guys, in the morning, remember, you're all responsible for your own recovery gear. So if you get stuck, you need to pull out your pull rope or your snatch rope or your shackles.
Pull yourself out.
And no. You can get the guys to help you, but you need to supply your equipment to connect to the other cars.
Okay.
Use your winch to connect to the other cars, not let them pull their winch down and pull you out. So that's like an unwritten rule, or it's a gentleman's agreement, if you like. However, the equipment that you would need, for example, one of the first pieces of equipment that you can get, and it's very easy to get, you can get it at any hardware store.
Can I guess?
Yes.
Shovel.
The spade.
Exactly. Absolutely.
And that's not, that wasn't
There you go.
rehearsed.
No, that's exactly right, Michael. And you can get out of so much trouble with using a spade. For example, I had a call a couple of months back from the Lion Safari Park saying, there's people stuck on your track. Could you help them? So then I went out and found out more or less where they were, and I found where they were. And it was 2 young ladies who had taken their dad's Fortuner and ramped it up on a rock. And obviously, it was just a matter of packing rocks behind it. And I said to the lady, now just pop it into reverse and reverse out. And
4x2 or 4x4?
she was spinning the back wheel, and I said, no, you must put it into 4x4. She says, how do you do that? And then I looked, it was a 4x2. So that's why they got stuck.
Okay.
So basically, very often it's just a matter of positioning rocks. I think you saw that yourself when we were bringing you through.
Yes.
Positioning rocks So just rocks on the side of the track can help you to get out of trouble. But good equipment to get would be, the first thing is set of gloves. Good
Okay.
leather gloves. You get it from any good 4x4 track. A pull strap is a strap that you tie onto the cars that need to be pulled out of trouble.
Good quality one, I suppose, because they snap.
There's no such thing as good quality. You have to have a rated one.
Okay.
It's got a rating on it. So in other words, it's got a little fly sheet on it. And in that, it'll tell you at what strength you can pull with that, what weight you can pull safely with it. Okay? And if you do not have rated kit, do not use it.
Okay.
For example, I did a training session this morning and I showed the guys my recovery kit, and I said, can you tell me anything about this C shackle? It's like a shackle that you bolt onto the car and pull. And the first guy said to me, yeah, it's not rated. And I said, exactly, that you do not use. And then, so you basically have to have ropes, or either a rope or a strap to pull the cars. And then if you need to pull a car out of mud or in sand, you would use what's called a kinetic rope or a snatch rope. That one has got a certain amount of elasticity.
Okay.
So there's two things that have always struck me. Number one, I do not personally, because I've done quite a bit of 4x4ing, I do not believe you need all the safety equipment. But not safety, recovery equipment. Safety equipment is something completely different. I've watched people recovering cars, and it's been mind-boggling to me that they're still alive.
Yeah.
So they will put a winch onto another car, and they'll be standing around right there where the winch is, okay? Anything can happen. The winch can come off the one vehicle. It snaps. Do you know what a winch will do? It will decapitate you, take your car in half. Absolutely. Something as simple as that.
Yeah.
And I find that mind-boggling.
Yeah.
The ropes. If that rope even snaps, okay, it's got a little point on it. Depends where it snaps. But if that point hits you, that's like being hit by a hammer. Crazy.
In actual fact, a lot of people misunderstand the fact that a tow hitch on the back of a car to pull a trailer, that is designed to break off at 120 pounds pressure. You know that? Because if you go down the road and you roll your trailer, and if the trailer has got a strong tow hitch, it'll take the car with.
Sure.
So it's designed to break at 120 pounds pressure. Now imagine using that as a tow point. As a recovery point. It'll take pressure, and eventually at 120, it'll become a bullet, that size bullet.
Jeez.
Yeah. So basically, you're talking about standing next to the winch or the rope. That is called the circle of death. You actually have to measure it out specifically. It's quite a scientific thing, the recovery training. You actually have to take it and measure exactly how far the rope would go before you even connect it. And then you take it both ways. That's the circle of death.
Look, I'll say this. I mean, my mind is blown right now, and I'll say that if anyone wants to get into this, they need to come for training.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And the nice thing is we do basic training for the guys who have got a 4x4 and they have got no idea how the buttons work, what the car does. We take them for basic training, very simple stuff. And then we also do intermediate, and we do advanced, and we do recovery. So anybody who wants to know more.
There's two pieces of advice I'll give anybody, and this is on any facet of life. It's very rare that you'll be able to make a mistake that somebody hasn't made before you. And it's very rare that you'll be able to make a mistake that if you took the right advice, that you would still make it. Anything that you're going to do to get yourself into trouble. Guys, tell me, what do I do if my car's stuck underwater? I was at the Volt. They've got a little river there, okay? And the guys were going through, and you need to have a very good vehicle with a snorkel to go through. Guy goes through in a Daihatsu Terios, okay? He gets stuck in the middle. I'm watching this. Guy gets the car physically cuts out. What does the guy try to do? An idiot, with all due respect. What's the one no when your car's underwater?
Do not start it again.
This guy knew better. I've done it before. I'll get my car started.
Sucked all of that water in.
It just bends your pistons. Literally, the water gets sucked in through the exhaust. Bends your pistons. You're not starting it again.
Looking to buy a new or used car? Visit changecars.co.za.
Yeah.
Okay, so I mean, let's talk about upgrades, right? If someone wants to get into 4x4ing, not in a Daihatsu Tribulus.
Daihatsu Terios. Well, this guy's upgrading his engine.
Exactly. What sort of mods does one need to do? What are the basics that one can do to a vehicle to get started with social 4x4ing, for instance?
Well, the first thing, the thing that touches the 4x4 track more than anything are the tires.
So get the right ones.
Good tires.
Yes.
Buy good
All
tires.
terrain?
It depends on what you're doing. If you're going to buy all terrain, they are very good because they are cross-purpose. They can take you comfortably to school and back with the kids. You can take you to the shopping. You can take you to Cape Town. And when you go on the rough, you can also go on the rough, and they're quite capable. Okay. If you take a mud terrain, like I've got in my car now, believe me, there's no point in having a sound system in the car.
Just noisy.
The whole time.
Yeah.
You actually think your bearing in your wheels is gone.
Jeez.
But remember, when I go into the mud, then I'm smiling because it just is, it's
Easy.
horses for courses.
Yeah.
So you need to know what are you going to do most of. Obviously, I spend my time basically in the off-road, so it makes sense for me to have mud terrain tires.
But can I throw a positive spanner in the works?
Yeah.
You're looking to get into 4x4ing. Mid-range, you're not going to go to North Africa, okay? You went to North Africa in a Hillman, so you can go in anything. You buy yourself a Jeep Wrangler. You buy yourself a Mitsubishi Pajero. Two cars that are fundamentally so capable. You know what mods you do to them? Zero. They don't need anything. They've got the ground clearance. They've got the right tires. Sure, you're not going to go through wading 2 meters underwater. But do you agree with me that on a car like that, you do not need to do anything?
100%. And as well, the best advice I can give to anybody is do it by drip irrigation. Do not take your car down to the store and say, put me a bull bar on, put me a winch on, put me just drive the obstacles and
see.
And you realize I've touched my little mascara plastic bumper a few times.
Then enjoy the sound of it.
Let me save up for a bull bar and then change that.
Okay.
Then now you've got that done.
You've seen my stock standard 2007 Jeep Wrangler Unlimited.
Yeah.
Stock standard. Where does that car not go?
Well, I've seen it going through all of the line of Safari Park. 100%.
Fundamentally incredibly capable.
Yeah.
Go put in, I don't want to mention a name, and go put on these fancy suspensions, high lift, you ruin that car. It becomes undrivable on the road.
Yeah.
Try climb into it. Keep your car stock standard.
Yeah.
Price-wise, if you wanted to get into 4x4ing and just for fun on the weekend, what would you say you need to spend on a vehicle? And again, I'm not going to be arrogant, but I know the figure. Starting point. What can you find a nice weekend car for?
I would say 250,000 Rand.
I would say, I think respectfully, far, far less. You could buy some nice old cruisers, nice old Discovery 2s.
Sorry. I beg your pardon. Yes, I follow your question now. 100%.
You just want to stuff you just want to have fun on the weekend.
Oh my gosh! If you don't mind paying a little bit of money on petrol, you can get like a petrol Jeep for 40 grand, 50 grand.
Yeah.
And these things are the most capable.
A Cherokee, a Grand Cherokee,
Those square ones.
100%.
You can get the old Nissan Safaris, the straight six Safari. What for if you pay 70,000, it's got everything inside still, and it's brand new. It's never
heavy on fuel.
For example,
Yeah.
recently I picked up a little Nissan hardbody, and it had 138,000 kilometers on the clock. The gear lever obviously had a little bit of wear because it's a leather covered gear lever.
But immaculate.
The
car,
4x4 gear lever was brand new. It's never been touched. So that car was fantastic, and that was 170. So yeah, you're right.
But that's what I want to say for our audience. You're looking to have a bit of fun. Go back to the question. Do I need to spend money to upgrade my vehicle? No. Buy yourself a Nissan Patrol, a 2002 Nissan Patrol 4500 or 3-litre diesel, 120 grand.
And start playing.
Yeah,
Start
absolutely.
playing, start having fun.
And then if you want to start modifying it bit by bit when your budget allows, and what you want to do with it indicates or dictates what you actually should change.
And then work yourself up to a beautiful new-shaped Porsche Cayenne, 4 million rand, and take it off-road, and you'll have a lot of fun.
You've done it, haven't you?
Never.
Likely story, yeah. Okay.
Oh yeah, I think that sums it up. Quite interesting, and you know what? It's very insightful realizing all the things that go into it. That you don't just get in there, like the safety side. And I'd love to have you back to chat about all the safety and, setting up a parameter, etc., etc. Yeah.
We will do that.
We'll do
Absolutely.
that.
I would be glad to do that. And just remember one thing, gentlemen. When you were born, Michael, and you go,
Very special day.
you obviously, you weren't able to run. You weren't even able to walk, actually. So just remember one thing, very, very important for the listeners. Life always starts in low range. Okay.
Starts in low range.
When Chuck
Awesome.
Norris was born, you know that he slapped the doctor.
On his way out.
On his way out. But just to absolutely sum up,
Yes.
if you took any sport that you were looking to get into, it could be camping, it could be boating, it could be aeroplanes, mountain biking. I do not believe you could get into a cheaper sport than 4x4. Would I be right?
Oh, I agree. And you know what the nice thing about it is? When you're 4x4ing, you don't drive over the pavements in Santon and drive down to the center of Johannesburg. You're driving out into nature. Guys, it's beautiful out there. I mean,
it is.
For me to actually build a 4x4 track out in the Lanseria, in the Lanseria countryside there at the Lion Safari Park,
It's stunning.
is special.
Yours is stunning. And what makes yours special for me is that you're basically doing your 4x4ing, but you get to see all these wild animals all around you. You've got zebras, giraffes, lions, and it's just it's mind-blowingly beautiful.
Yeah, it really is, and it's a huge farm, so it makes it really nice. And we're forever developing new parts of the track, and it's now becoming, I can honestly say, it's becoming Gauteng's premier off-road track. That's what the guys are telling me, not in my opinion. It's what people are telling me.
Talking about premier, so on the show, I always take great pride in a shout out to incredible facilities. The Lion and Safari Park itself is the most welcoming, well-run, well-maintained facility. You know my opinion of Marius and his crew.
Yes.
You know my opinion of your facility. It's just magnificent. It is the number one tourist facility in Gauteng. Did you know that?
I knew that, yeah, it really is. And so it should be.
Terence, thank you so much for joining us in studio. I think we've gained a ton of insights from you, and anyone's looking to do any off-roading 4x4ing, I think you're the person to talk to. And if you're interested in reading the book, I think the book is phenomenal. He tells a lot of stories. We've got one for you that Terence is giving away. He has signed it. So email us, podcast@changecars.co.za. And to whet your appetites in this book, I found a interesting thing here. Right at the end of the book, Terence says he got 0 punches, 0 arguments, 0 bribes paid on this entire journey, 0 items stolen from them, 0 illnesses, 0 money on returning from the trip, which means they were probably broke, and 0 regrets. And I think if you've got 0 regrets, it's all you need. If you're looking for advice, motoring related advice, email us podcast@changecars.co.za. That's what we're here for. If you're looking for a vehicle, changecars.co.za. You're not going to get scammed. Caravan, boats, whatever it is, that's where you'll find it. And if you need insurance, click on the Discovery tab and you'll get yourself an obligation-free quote. For South Africa's best motoring content, catch all things motoring on DSTV channel 189 and on YouTube. New episodes every week.